In this video, we're going to discuss Quincy's integration with an s-bucket. S-bucket, for those of you who don't know, is Amazon's online storage. Frankly, it's fantastic. It's totally expandable. It's relatively inexpensive. It's good stuff. So if you are in the position to integrate Quincy with an s-bucket, or you have your own s-bucket, as some of our customers do, this video will help you explain how to integrate the two and how to take advantage of it. So we're going to go over integrating, creating buckets, assigning buckets, and using buckets. The start of our journey for the s-buckets is here in the admin panel, as you might expect. We have to configure or set up our s-bucket, and we do that in the System Administration System Values section. And this is where we enter the 2 or 3 actually ultimately critical numbers for an s-bucket. Your access key ID, which you'll get from Amazon. Your secret key, which you'll get from Amazon as well. Your endpoint, and then well, those are the critical ones. If you have your own private bucket, then then you will want to click this, and then at that point you'll want to enter something different here. Make sure you correctly enter HTTPS if you're using SSL, and HTTP if you are not. That will totally affect whether you're successful or not. But anyway, these are the critical numbers you need to take advantage of the integration. You give that configuration a name. Here we obviously called it Quincy Dev 2. You can have many of these, however many sort of secret keys you have and stuff like that. However many S3 users you have, you can create one for each of them. And then you can assign those out to users and buckets out to the users and things of that nature. There are a few important things to note here. Do not give a user access to more than one of these, because Quincy only understands access to one bucket, one S3 configuration, because connecting to 2 at the same time doesn't make sense. So make sure you only give one to each user. You give them to the users here. You click this. Now this user would have access. This role, would have access to this bucket, and anyone in this role would have access to it. You can create buckets. You can either create them on Amazon, or you can create them here. And then you can assign those buckets to roles as well. So you can not only assign buckets, assign configurations to roles, but you can also assign buckets, meaning a user can be assigned to the read-only S3 user and have access to 2 of the 3 buckets in that environment, or whatever configuration you want to do. So that's how you set up, if you will, or configure your S3 environment to integrate with Quincy. Once you've got it configured, let me show you the various places we interact with it. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me show you creating a bucket. You do that by clicking here. And then you enter the bucket name, the allowed methods, the allowed origin, and the allowed headers. I'm not going to spend much time in this video going over these. There's all sorts of information on the web. I believe we have a little write-up posted on this as well. But you just make any bucket name, and then allowed origins would be star, and then a methods would be put and get, and whatever the methods you want to allow to interact with this bucket. All right, so that's that. So now once you have your bucket set up and your environment configured, you come here, and this is where one of 3 places we interact with the s-buckets in case archival. Obviously, look at the video for information on case archival and restore if you want to understand these 2 bits. But we're focused for now on the S3 storage. We have access to all these different users as the all these different buckets as the administrator. We have access. We can do a number of different things. We can download this. We can delete it. We can create a new folder by right-clicking and just new folder, and then let's say the Tim folder, and we save it, and that will create the Tim folder in our S3 bucket. And we can upload stuff from our file system to our bucket. And obviously, we can also download from our S bucket to our file system. So let's say we wanted to, let's just go into the bread folder. Nothing significant about that. We're going to download this Verizon data. Just click download. It gets assigned a job ID, and the action gets logged. And then it tells us when the job is complete. So that has been completed. So if we, let's see it, click off and click on this thing again, see, there we go. And it went into a zip. Everything we download off of an S3 bucket goes into a zip. We can unzip this if we want. Just click there and click unzip, and it will go ahead and unzip that. Excuse me, I don't think I properly selected it. There you go. Unzip that. There you go. And then if we select off and then back on, I think we should find the unzip. There you go. We also, you probably noticed, we also have this validate hash thing. This will go through and compare the hashes of this file to the hashes shown in the S3 bucket. So if we do validate S3 hash, it's going to show us the calculated hash. And it says hash not validated because it did the zip, which is what we would expect. But now if we go to the contents of that and we do validate hash, hash validated, exactly as we would have expected it. So again, we can also upload if we want to upload this zip. Let's upload it into this folder. So click there, and then we'll click here, and we will upload to the S3 bucket. And it's going to go ahead and upload this, and when we want to, we can refresh the S3 bucket, and it will be in that folder. So that's the interaction with the S3 bucket for case archival. The reason it is here is because the logical workflow would be you would archive your case, you might zip it up, and then you would upload it into your S3 environment. At least it's our assumption that's how you would use it. So let's go explore the other two places you'll run into S3. You'll run into S3 when processing data. If you want to add data to a case, and you want to get that data from the S3 bucket, you just click there, and you go ahead and download it. And then you can now go back, and it gets downloaded to whatever location you had selected. So let's click off of this, and let me show you how that works a little bit. You could navigate here, right? Wherever I had navigated here is where we would download to. So instead of bread, let's say we wanted to download it to bin. As long as I've got it on bin here, now when I go to S3 and download it, will go into bin. And then I would just, again, click off of it, click on it, and, well, in this case, let's look at the bread. And then, just add this to the case. That's how I would get that information off of the off of the S bucket and into my case for processing. The last place you will run into the S3 bucket is the data transfer. You always get presented with this bucket option if you have given somebody access to it. I'll show you the roles and permissions behind the S3 bucket here in a minute. But if you click on this, you can upload files directly into your S3 bucket from your client-side machine. So you could just go choose a file and then navigate. We'll do the Chrome DLL. and then we could upload that to our S3 bucket, and it'll show us the progress, and then it will validate the hash and upload it. It's pretty straightforward stuff, nothing overly fancy. So let's not wait for that. Let's just hop out and let's go directly to admin. This is the last bit of this video, and I feel like I've rushed through it, but I think the concepts here are relatively straightforward. We're just clicking on any role. It didn't matter which we choose, but then we go actions and scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can see there are these 4 actions available. Allow somebody to be an S3 admin, allow them to read from the S3 environment, write to the S3 environment, or delete on the S3 environment. All of those are permissionable. You can, of course, also permission them at the S3 level if you prefer to use that security. Honestly, that's slightly more secure than this, but both are available. So anyway, that's S3. I really encourage you, if you have an S3 environment, to take advantage of this. It's a very good integration. It's seamless. It seems to work really well, and our clients seem to truly get value out of it. So anyway, thank you very much for your time.